We interrupt your regularly scheduled porn for another episode of movie reviews from the Asylum. And here are your hosts, Insane Mike and Jason.
Oh, hey everybody. Welcome back to movie reviews from the Asylum. I'm Jason. What are you doing?
Checking out the cover of the movie we're gonna watch today because it's got a glow-in-the-dark cover.
What? No, I want to see. I can't even saw your. What is it?
Return of the Living Dead. The classic zombie film from what year?
1985.
This movie's great. I'm a zombie fan. My main love goes for the original George Romero trilogy as like 3 of my favorite movies of all time. But beyond that, this one is next. This is like, I love this movie so much. This is like one of those movies that like, I can't think of anything to watch. So I'm just gonna put in Return of the Living Dead. It's one of those. Written and directed by Dan O'Bannon. Like one of the very few films that Dan O'Bannon has directed, and I wish he would have directed more before his untimely passing. Moment of silence for Dan O'Bannon. That was a cool way to kill some running time on this episode. So,
it's a zombie movie, but it's got new. It's a new zombie movie with new rules to zombies, which has never been done, and really what we've talked about, one of the most interesting things about this movie and its new rules is become integrated in culture phenomenon, how this movie has changed the world, but you explain it better.
absolutely. In my opinion, as far as like the zombie culture and what the general masses know about the zombie culture, there's 2 films you can cite that are responsible for that. Obviously, Night of the Living Dead, the original George Romero classic, 1968, because that is the first movie that really brought the zombies into the Living Dead thing and eating people and stuff like that. What Return of the Living Dead's significance is, this is the first and only movie where the zombies crave and scream brains. Now, when you walk up to normal Joes on the street and say, "Hey, quick, do your zombie impression," 9 times out of 10 they're going to do something like this: brains.
And 9 times out of 10, none of them have seen Return of the Living Dead.
No, but yet this is the only series of films that have ever had zombies say the word brains and crave only brains.
Yeah. So it's such a weird phenomenon.
Yeah, extremely weird. And another thing this movie was responsible for pioneering, in my opinion, is running zombies. Forget 28 Days Later, forget the Dawn of the Dead remake. Oh, those movies are so innovative because zombies are fast. No, this is the movie that was innovative because zombies were fast. Zombies run, they talk, they can drive, they retain their whole intelligence, which is pretty creepy in and of itself.
It is.
And also they cannot be killed by typical conventional zombie methods. Bullet to the brain doesn't do it. Chop off their limbs are gonna come after you, and that to me is creepy too. Like the more you fight your zombie, the more it'll come after you.
More ways it can.
Yeah, more ways it can kill you. So that's pretty creepy. But yeah, cops. I mean, like the zombies in this film dress up as cops and paramedics. They're like, they're smart in the way they lure more people in.
Send more cops.
And more paramedics. But it's a comedy. It is a comedy. But it's very dark in its comedy. And the comedy comes out of the characters in the film and not the zombies, which I always appreciate. And to me, that's the perfect mixture of horror and comedy, because your horror always comes from the situation. That's what makes a film horrific. And then the comedy should always come out of the characters, out of the characters dealing with that situation. That's the blend of horror and comedy. Starts off in "You Need a Medical Supply." I love all the little Mad Magazine style jokes, inside jokes in this whole movie.
It's only changed the way you are as a person.
So it starts off in Unita where like two guys are working and one guy's training how to work at the warehouse and stuff. Frank is given the tour to the kid on the place, and it's like, don't have to tell you what these are for. Va-va-va-voom. Over here is where we keep the split dogs. They use these in medical facilities and research teams. Oh, we get a lot of orders for split dogs. This movie was always kind of billed as like kind of a sequel to Night of the Living Dead, like an alternate sequel to Night of the Living Dead beyond what George was doing. And this part here is what made it a tie-in to Night of the Living Dead. They do the tour. They show where they keep the fresh cadavers and all that stuff. And now they're back in the office teaching him how to fill out these shipping forms. And Frank looks up at the kid and he's like, "You ever seen that movie, Night of the Living Dead?" Okay, there's your tie-in. Okay, so basically they're saying Night of the Living Dead was a movie, but it's based on something that really happened. And what really happened was that there's this chemical that the government was developing and it went wrong and brought these people back to life. And how does Frank know this? Well, we have the bodies in the basement in drums, So they go down in the basement and check it out. It's like, you want to see them? So they go down in the basement and check them out, and like, the kid's like, these things don't leak, do they? Leak! These are made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Slaps the side of it. Psh, of course they leak. It's made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. So they get infected. They slowly turn into zombies, but we don't see that right away because we're dealing with everything else in the medical supply warehouse that has now been infected by this gas. The fresh cadaver in the icebox, the split dogs, even the butterflies pinned on the thing are flapping around and stuff. The only thing that doesn't come alive that I have an issue with are the human skeletons with perfect teeth. They're supposedly supposed to be real human skeletons with perfect teeth.
Racks of them.
Racks of them. They don't come alive. Why not? If everything from these zombies could be chopped up and still come after you, why aren't the skeletons come to life? Well, people out there might be saying, well, how would that even be physically possible? I will tell you, because the first zombie that pops up out of the ground when the cemetery is infected is basically nothing but a zombie or a skeleton with eyeballs. So that's probably my hugest problem with the film, but you gotta let that go and just enjoy the ride because there are a lot of those kind of holes within the entire movie.
Yeah, for sure, especially when it gets into the burning and the gas and the rain.
Oh, yeah, that's a little far-fetched. Yeah. So now they've collected up all like the split dogs and the butterflies and the cadaver. They've chopped it up. They don't know what to do with it because it won't die. Hey, well, Ernie Coulter-Bruner is in the crematorium out by the cemetery. Let's take it out there to see if he'll like burn it up for us. So they take it all out there and they throw it in the crematorium. Well, the smoke from the burning split dogs and whatnot go up into the atmosphere, gets into the rain clouds, then rains down acid rain, which seeps all the way into the ground, all the way through a coffin, on top of the corpses in the cemetery. And then they come alive and dig all the way out. I guess that's another thing too, on how like superhuman the zombies are in this movie, because you literally have like,
until they get out of the ground, then they can barely move.
Well, even still, they're able to like break down doors, flip cars, bite through people's skulls.
Yeah.
And there's like a zombie in here that basically looks like this. It's like there's not much to it left. It's completely rotted and whatnot. And yet, and there's even a quote in the movie like, "They're no stronger than humans," but yet they can dig themselves out of the hole, out of their coffin.
The rain, it was wet.
Oh yeah, it was moist. Yeah. So, speaking of moist, Linnea Quigley's in this movie and does like a full body striptease. Quick trivia question out there for anybody: Can anybody tell me the name on the tombstone that Linnea's dancing on during that scene? Wrong. The answer is, why are you paying attention to the tombstone?
That's right.
So Linnea does this complete striptease on top of this tombstone, and she's naked through literally the rest of the movie, even when she turns into a zombie, and she's basically a zombie in nothing but leggings. So
got us through puberty.
Favorite scene?
Besides the grave dance?
Yeah, besides the grave dance.
Oh.
You can't quote that as your favorite scene. That's just
Well, what's your favorite?
grave dance scene.
Anytime James Caan is just going ape shit is just awesome. Like, it had to be the most fun role for him. He's just freaking out through the whole thing. He's so fun to watch.
And this is the thing too, like, it's a hilarious moment where, like, the owner, Clue, shows up and it's like, I've ever told you never to go near those goddamn tanks. And, like, there's a corpse obviously in the deep freeze because it's pounding on the walls going, ah! And they're like, you sure he's dead? Why don't you open the door and find out? So, well, if it's dead, we have to kill it, right? So they're gonna take a pickaxe to its head. Bert's telling them all what to do. He's the boss. He's the man in charge. And what does he do? He goes hides behind the fake skeletons with perfect teeth while he makes James Caan undo the padlock. Oh wait, no, James Caan had the pickaxe. Makes James Caan do all the dirty work of taking the pickaxe to the zombie, while Tom Matthews is undoing the padlock on the deep freeze. Opens the door, and it's straight to Clue. And Clue lets out the most hilarious man yelp of all time when he topples over with the zombie on top of him. And it's a hilarious moment. But it wasn't until way later that I realized why that happened. Because the zombie went for Clue because the other two were already dead. Yeah, see? Nice. There's a lot of little interesting subtleties like that, and you know, like when they first go to the crematorium and they're burning up the split dogs and everything, and James Caan's like, I'm a big favor, I can operate that goddamn thing.
You're just gonna do quotes this whole review.
Well, I just recite the whole movie for you.
You
so
can do it.
It opens up with a shot of
Back to the incinerator.
And so later on, when like both Tom and James realize that they are zombies, like all the things outside, and they know there's no hope, James Caan decides he's going to kill himself. But how do you kill yourself when you're an unstoppable zombie? He throws himself into the crematorium. So it just goes, so that's set up earlier in the first act that James Caan knows how to operate the incinerators.
I do love it when that first zombie gets the pickaxe to the brain, because it's like the first piece of violence in the movie. And
But
it is just brutal.
It's
and
brutal.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's funny at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Because the like pig squeals that the chicken that the zombie's doing is hilarious, but yet unsettling all at the same time.
Unsettling.
The brain, hit the goddamn brain.
Kick in the neck. Yeah, that's awesome.
In my opinion, is a very important movie to watch in the history of zombie
If you're a zombie fan,
you
say, "Oh, I love zombies," this is one you gotta see.
Yeah, if you love zombies and your frame of reference for zombie films is the Dawn of the Dead remake and Shaun of the Dead, then you need to kick
Slap
up old
yourself
school.
and then go.
And check this movie out, because this is a crucial viewing in the zombie lore. So required viewing is your homework. This movie is really inspirational to me. Like a lot of the stuff I love the fast-paced dialogue, the quick banter back and forth, where like somebody talks and it just picks up right away by.
Then it goes to the other person. They just keep talking.
And then it goes back to the other person, and it's like there's no real
Stoppage at all. It just goes and goes.
So I love that.
I loved all the Class of Nukem High was one of the first horror movies I've watched, and then so this one had a great feel because it had the punk thugs in the beginning. I don't know. To me, it had that fun little connection, and so those guys are really great. And the one, well, nobody take me seriously. You'll do the quotes.
The second one's okay, and I think I only like it to this day because I watched it as a kid without really having a great frame of reference of what a zombie film should be. But it does the opposite of what this movie does as far as the comedy. It puts a lot of comedy in the hands of the zombies, which is the totally wrong way to go. And your lead protagonist in the film is a small kid. And when you're a small kid in a horror film in the 80s, you are the safest person ever.
Yeah.
They just don't kill small kids in horror films in the 80s. nowadays look out, but there's no holding back. But in the 80s, once you saw a kid show up, it was like, oh, okay, well, never mind. We know who's gonna survive this movie. 3 is pretty good.
3, I love part 3 a lot. I remember watching it a bunch, and I thought Melinda Clark did a great job, and the 2 kids' story was great. And I mean, there's cheese for sure, and it's definitely cheap. And
Yeah.
but I don't know, there's something about 3 that I always liked a lot.
But then after that, 4 and 5,
Turds.
Grave of the Grave, whatever. Necropolis, more like it.
Yeah.
So stick with 1. 2 is fun, but watered down. And if you could find 3, definitely check out 3. So it's Return of the Living Dead for you. And we'll see you. We're gonna wrap this up now.
Let's do that.
I was just gonna walk
Yeah,
out.
I saw you start going. I'm
So,
like,
I'll see
maybe
you
you
later.
should say goodbye.
Alright, so maybe I should come up with like something catchy to say at the end, right?
Ready?
Okay. See you on the other side of the grave.
No. Try something else.
Try something else? Okay. Be sure to check us next time if you've got brains.
Maybe one more.
One more? Okay, hold on. I gotta dig deep for this one.
Yeah. Don't hurt yourself.
See you next time of The Living Dead.
Great. Well, see you, buddy. Bye.